Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Welcome to another episode of ROG Vlog. Episode 5? Yeah, episode 5. Good morning, truck. Somebody said to me that I should maybe give a little disclaimer in these videos. So that's what I'm gonna be doing right now. These videos are all opinions, I guess. Like, they're not even that. Like, really, they're just questions. I have no obligation to give you my honest opinion on any of these things, but I generally do. I have no obligation to, like, lay down the law of what is or is not correct in these situations. These are all questions. I'm just one juggler asking them. If I forget to say something, if I say something wrong, mispronounce something, that's what it is. It's all part of the video. So, there you go. That's my disclaimer. You've been disclaimed. Now, let's get into it. Last week, I talked about stealing, trick stealing, and I came to no conclusion. Today, I want to talk about why it matters, when it does matter, and I probably won't come to any concrete conclusion again. So let's just get right into it. So how do you decide when somebody stole a trick and who stole the trick from the other person? That's not the question I'm getting into, but I'll get there. In some cases, it's very simple. It's the one person came up with the trick, popularized it, and other people clearly copied after them. Like I said, it's not always that simple. Sometimes people don't share tricks immediately when they find them, and then they get very upset when somebody else shares a trick that they thought of in the early 2000s. They're like, no, but I did this. You need to believe me, please. And if you have done that, that's okay. No shame in that. I've done that too. We've all been there. But yeah, it's not always that simple. Not always that simple of a situation. But I don't really want to talk about how you decide whether or not someone's stealing. I want to talk about the person who gets their trick stolen. I want to talk about that person and how they might feel. For me, there's very few tricks that I've come up with that I care if somebody else takes and puts into their number. Honestly, there's very few of those tricks. That being said, I've come up with upwards of thousands and thousands of tricks, so I have like a larger vocabulary to forget about. Obviously, if somebody else does a trick that I did before and I see that, I would love a little bit of credit for inspiration or whatever. That would be absolutely lovely. It makes me feel appreciated. I get more excited that somebody else took the time to try to learn a trick that I thought of. It immediately stops any sort of questioning of oh, did they do that on purpose? Do they know? Should I comment if that maybe they don't know that I thought of it before? But if somebody didn't even know that I did the trick, that makes a lot of sense. You can't expect that from everyone. Not everybody sees every single juggling video that I've put up. Please go back and watch them though. You should see every juggling video that But what are the tricks that I don't want people to do? Because they do exist. Well, one thing's for sure. Any trick that I did in my act, Hoodie Boy, completely off limits. I don't want anybody even looking at those tricks. Please look at the video. Watch the video. You can look at the tricks. Don't do those tricks. Those are my tricks. Is how I feel. I spent so much time on every throw, catch, movement, every little detail in that act. I put so much heart and soul into that, so much time into those tricks, that I feel so much ownership, and I feel so, like, I care so much about those tricks that if anybody took any of them, I would feel very, I don't know, emotional. I would be very upset. Absolutely I would. But why? That's the question I kind of want to talk about. Why would I feel upset about that? What's different about those tricks than any other trick that I've come up with? I found plenty of tricks with the same props, same place, same time, like everything else is the same. It was the same 30 minutes that I came up with these tricks. But for some reason, these tricks I really like, but these tricks, it's like whatever. To other people, if you put those tricks side by side, they wouldn't really know the difference or care. They would look very similar. So what is it about the tricks that I put in Hoodie Boy? I mean, I did pick those tricks for a specific reason. Maybe that's why I care more about them. I like carefully picked each trick and movement for this act. And it's the care that I put into it, and I like chose these tricks because they mean something to me. I put the meaning onto them. Or maybe it's because like a lot of these tricks took a long time to learn. Like they took a lot of effort to practice and figure them out, to learn them before I was ready to put them into an act. Does that play a role? You know, like the more time you put into a piece, the more important it is to you, the more valuable. Not always. The trick where I like pull a club out, is that a trick? I don't know. That's another video for another question. That trick took no time at all to practice. I don't think I even practiced that once before I showed it to someone. But I still feel very strongly about it. I still do that in a lot of acts that I put together now. And it's hard, you know, because like I said in one of the other videos about the pathways, and sometimes you meet at the same pathway coming from two different directions. You can find these tricks that I found in Hoodie Boy, but like doesn't mean that they mean anything to you. It's hard to say. I don't know. Have you ever been in a position where somebody else has stolen a trick that you feel so strongly about that you would go out of your way to message them and tell them to stop performing that trick? Have you created a number that you feel like every single trick in that number is like a precious little time capsule that you don't want anyone to touch? Or do you feel like any juggler can take any trick from any of the things that you've found, and as long as they put their own twist on them, you wouldn't have any problems? I don't know. Let me know in the comments how you feel. I know this is kind of a touchy subject, but that's the point of these videos. They are all touchy subjects. We're getting touchy.